They say suffering breaks people, but sometimes it forges them. This is the story of a girl who lost everything: her parents, her childhood, her place in the world. She was fed scraps, dressed in rags, and treated like she didn't matter. Yet while others hardened, she chose compassion. And in a kingdom obsessed with crowns and beauty, it was her character, not her clothes, that changed history. Stay with this story, because what happens to her will remind you why kindness is never wasted. Long, long ago, in the great kingdom of Kemet, there lived a girl named Zara. But to truly understand her story, we must first speak of her suffering, for it is in the deepest valleys that the highest mountains are born. Zara's mother died, bringing her into this world. Her father, a poor farmer named Baraka, loved his daughter with all his heart, but sorrow had weakened him. When Zara was only 7 years old, during the great drought that killed the crops and dried the rivers, her father also departed this world, leaving her completely alone. The village elders gathered to decide Zara's fate. Who would take in this orphan child? Who would feed another mouth when their own children were hungry? "I will take her," said Mama Halima, a woman known throughout the village for her sharp tongue and sharper eyes. She was the wife of a prosperous merchant and had 3 daughters of her own: Safia, Amara, and Khadija. To the elders, she seemed like a blessing. To Zara, she would become a nightmare. Mama Halima took Zara into her compound, but not into her heart. From the very first night, the difference was clear. While Safia, Amara, and Khadija slept on soft mattresses in the main house, Zara was given a tattered mat in the storage room behind the kitchen. The room smelled of old grains and had no window. Rats scurried in the darkness, and Zara would wake each morning with bites covering her small legs. "Be grateful you have shelter," Mama Halima would say, when Zara's eyes showed her fear. "In this world, orphans sleep on the streets. At least you have a roof." While the 3 daughters ate pounded yam with rich egusi soup and tender meat, Zara was given the scraps, ardent fufu from yesterday's meal, watery soup with no meat, sometimes just gari soaked in water. She ate alone after everyone else had finished, from a chipped wooden bowl that even the family dog refused to use. "Food is expensive," Mama Halima would say, watching Zara eat with hawk eyes. "You should be grateful you're not starving. Many orphans would kill for what you have." But the physical hunger was nothing compared to the hunger of their heart. While Safia, Amara, and Khadija went to school in their crisp uniforms, carrying new books and fancy lunchboxes, Zara was kept at home to work. She woke before the cock crowed, fetched water from the distant well, 20 trips with a heavy bucket on her small head. She swept the entire compound, washed everyone's clothes by hand, scrubbed pots until her fingers bled, and prepared meals she would never fully taste. "School is wasted on orphans," Mama Halima declared. "Your fate is to serve. Better you learn to work hard than to fill your head with useless knowledge." When Zara's hands became rough and calloused at age 10, Mama Halima smiled with satisfaction. When her back bent from carrying heavy loads, no one offered help. When she cried silently into her threadbare wrapper at night, no one heard. Or if they heard, no one cared. The 3 daughters were not kinder either. Safia, the eldest, was vain and cruel. She would deliberately spill water that Zara had just fetched, forcing her to make the long walk to the well again. "Oops," Safia would say, with a wicked smile. "Clumsy me. Go and fetch more water, orphan girl." Amara, the middle daughter, found pleasure in tearing Zara's few possessions. The one wrapper Zara's father had bought her before he died. Amara accidentally ripped it while helping fold laundry. The small wooden doll her mother had carved, Amara threw it into the cooking fire, claiming it was taking up space. And Khadija, the youngest, would steal Zara's food when no one was looking, leaving Zara even hungrier. "What will you do?" Khadija would taunt. "Tell Mama. She'll just beat you for lying. Everyone knows orphans are liars and thieves." Zara endured it all in silence. She had nowhere to go, no family to run to, no money to buy freedom. She was trapped in a life of endless labor and constant cruelty. But deep in her heart, where suffering could not reach, Zara kept two things alive: her dignity and her kindness. Despite how she was treated, Zara never became bitter. When she saw hungry children on the street, she shared the little food she had. When she found an injured bird, she nursed it back to health. When the old beggar woman came to the gate, Zara would sneak her water and kind words, even though Mama Halima forbade it. "Why do you help others when you have nothing?" the beggar woman asked one day, her wise eyes studying young Zara. "Because," Zara said simply, "suffering should teach us compassion, not cruelty. I am poor in possessions, but I don't have to be poor in spirit." The old woman smiled, a knowing smile that seemed to hold secrets of the universe. "Remember those words, child. The day is coming when they will change your life." But Zara couldn't imagine how. She was 14 now, and her situation had only worsened. Mama Halima had begun taking her to the market, where Zara carried heavy loads while the merchant woman collected money. People saw how thin Zara was, how her clothes were rags, how her eyes held old sadness. "Is that your daughter?" merchants would ask. "No, just an orphan I took in out of the goodness of my heart," Mama Halima would say loudly, making sure everyone heard. "A charity case, but she's proving useful." The humiliation was designed to break Zara's spirit, but somehow, impossibly, it didn't. Each night, sleeping on a mat in the rat-infested room, Zara would whisper to the stars through a crack in the wall, "I don't know why I'm suffering. I don't know if life will ever be better. But I'm still here. I'm still standing. I'm still kind. And that has to count for something." The stars, silent witnesses to her pain, seemed to shine a little brighter. On those nights, everything changed during the festival of the harvest moon. Once every 3 years, the kingdom held a grand celebration. The king would open the palace grounds to all people, rich and poor, noble and common. There would be dancing, feasting, music, and most importantly, the prince would choose companions for his courts from among the people. It was said that Prince Jabari was the most sought-after man in the entire kingdom. He was 25 years old, strong as a lion, wise beyond his years, and kind in a way that rulers rarely were. Women from neighboring kingdoms sent portraits and gifts, hoping to catch his attention. Every girl in Kemet dreamed of being chosen as his bride. Mama Halima's household was thrown into chaos preparing for the festival. For 3 weeks, the house buzzed with activity. Seamstresses came to create beautiful dresses for Safiya, Amara, and Khadija. Hairdressers taught them elaborate styles. A tutor came to teach them proper etiquette and conversation. Zara, of course, was not included. She worked harder than ever, preparing her adoptive sisters for their big opportunity. She washed and pressed their new clothes, cleaned their jewelry, prepared their food, all while wearing the same torn wrapper she'd worn for years. Can I come to the festival?" Zara asked one evening, her voice barely above a whisper. The laughter that erupted was cruel and sharp. "You!" Safiya cackled. "Look at yourself. You look like a street rat. You smell like smoke and sweat. Your hands are rough as tree bark. The palace guards would throw you out before you reached the gate." Besides, Mama Halima added coldly, "someone needs to stay home and guard their house. Or did you think we'd leave our compound unprotected so an orphan could pretend to be a princess?" The day of the festival arrived. Zara watched from the window as Mama Halima and her 3 daughters left in their finest clothes, riding in a hired carriage. They looked beautiful, like princesses themselves, and Zara remained behind, wearing rags, surrounded by cleaning supplies, locked in a life that seemed to have no escape. She sat in the compound and cried, not gentle tears, but deep, wrenching sobs that came from years of accumulated pain. She cried for her dead parents, for her stolen childhood, for dreams that seemed impossible, for a future that looked like nothing but endless suffering. Child, why do you weep? Zara looked up to find the old beggar woman standing at the gate, the same one she'd been kind to for years. Mama, Zara said, wiping her tears, I'm sorry. I have no food to give you today. They took everything to the festival. I'm not here for food, the old woman said, entering the compound uninvited. I'm here because of a debt. You've shown me kindness for 7 years, never asking anything in return, never judging me for my poverty. Today, I repay that kindness. But Mama, you have nothing to give. You're poorer than I am. Am I? The old woman smiled, and suddenly, the air around her began to shimmer. Her bent back straightened. Her rags transformed into fine robes. Her walking stick became a staff that glowed with an otherworldly light. Zara gasped and fell backward in shock. Who? What are you? I am Oya, the keeper of transformations, the spirit of the crossroads. The woman, no, the goddess, said. I walk among humans in disguise, searching for those whose hearts remain poor despite suffering. You, Zara, daughter of Baraka and Amina, have passed the test that many fail. You've been crushed but not broken, humiliated but not hardened. You chose kindness when cruelty was all you knew. I don't understand. You don't need to understand. You only need to accept your destiny. Oya raised her staff. Tonight, you will go to the festival. Not as a servant, but as royalty. But hear this warning. The magic lasts only until midnight. When the moon reaches its peak, you must leave immediately, or the transformation will reverse and you'll be revealed. Do you accept? Zara's heart pounded. Yes, yes, I accept. Oya touched Zara with her staff. What happened next was impossible to describe. It was as if Zara's body remembered who she was meant to be before poverty and suffering tried to erase her. Her torn wrapper became a stunning dress of indigo and gold, crafted from the finest cloth the kingdom had ever seen. Her rough hands smoothed. Her tired eyes brightened. Her matted hair transformed into intricate braids adorned with golden beads. Glass slippers, created from desert sand, transformed into crystal, appeared on her feet, but the most dramatic change was invisible. It was in the way Zara stood, the way she held her head, the confidence that suffering could not take away, now given room to shine. Remember, Oya said, fading back into the shadows. Midnight. Not a moment later. A magnificent horse appeared outside the gate, white as clouds with a saddle of woven gold. Zara climbed onto it, and for the first time in 7 years, she allowed herself to hope. The palace grounds were more beautiful than Zara had imagined. Thousands of lanterns hung from trees, casting golden light over everything. Musicians played drums and kura, creating rhythms that made your heart dance. Long tables overflowed with food, roasted lamb, jollof rice, fried plantains, hornet cakes, fresh fruits from distant lands. And people, hundreds of people, all dressed in their finest, all competing for the prince's attention. When Zara arrived on her white horse, conversation stopped. People turned to stare. Who was this vision in indigo and gold? Which kingdom had she come from? Why had no one heard of such a beauty? Even the palace guards, who'd seen every type of finery, straightened their postures and bowed as she passed. Mama Halima and her daughters stood near the fountain, and Safia spotted her first. "Who is that?" she hissed jealously. "She's more beautiful than all of us." "I don't know," Mama Halima said, eyes narrowed with suspicion. "But stay away from her. She's competition." They didn't recognize Zara. How could they? They'd never truly looked at her before. To them, she'd always been invisible. A servant, a shadow, nothing more. Zara moved through the crowd, her heart pounding. She felt like an imposter, like at any moment, someone would point and shout, "That's just Zara the orphan. Look at her pretending to be someone important." But no one did, because for tonight, she wasn't pretending. She was simply being who she'd always been inside. "Excuse me," a deep voice said behind her. "I don't believe we've met." Zara turned to find herself face to face with Prince Jabari. He was everything the story said. Tall, powerfully built, with kind eyes, and a smile that made her forget to breathe. But what struck her most was how he looked at her. Not at her dress or her jewelry, at her, into her eyes, as if he could see straight into her soul. I'm Zara stammered, then caught herself. "I'm Zara." "Zara," he repeated, as if tasting the name. "That's a beautiful name. It means flowering in the old language. Does it suit you?" "I don't know," Zara said honestly. "I've spent most of my life feeling more like a weed than a flower." The prince laughed. Genuine, delighted laughter. "Finally, someone who speaks truth instead of flattery. Every woman I've talked to tonight has told me I'm handsome, strong, wise. All true, of course," he said with mock arrogance, then grinned. "But boring. Tell me, Zara, what do you think of this festival?" Honestly, Zara looked around. "I think it's beautiful, but I also think about all the people outside these gates who are hungry tonight while we feast. I wonder what all this wealth could do if it were shared differently." The prince's expression grew serious. "You're right. I've thought the same thing. But tell me, if you had the power to change it, how would you?" And so they talked, not about shallow things, but about real things, about justice and mercy, about the responsibility of privilege, about how suffering teaches empathy, about the difference between ruling and serving. Hours passed like minutes. The prince asked Zara to dance, and she'd never danced before, but somehow her feet knew the steps. They walked through the garden, and she told him stories, not revealing her true circumstances, but sharing wisdom earned through pain. "You're unlike anyone I've ever met," Prince Jabari said as they stood under the stars. "Most people see my title and treat me like an object to win. But you talk to me like I'm just a person. And that's because suffering taught me something," Zara said softly. "It taught me to see people, not positions, to value character over crowns. I've met rich people with poor spirits and poor people with rich souls. Who you are matters more than what you have." The prince took her hand. "Zara, I know this is sudden, but I feel like I've been waiting my whole life to meet someone like you. Someone real. Someone who..." Bong. The palace clock began to strike midnight. Zara's heart dropped. "I have to go, now." "Wait, I don't even know where you're from." Bong. Already, Zara could feel the magic beginning to fade. Her dress felt looser, her slippers heavier. She pulled away from the prince and ran, her heart breaking even as her legs carried her toward the gate. "Wait, at least tell me your family name. How do I find you?" Bong. Zara ran faster. The crowd parted in confusion. Mama Halima and her daughter stood frozen, shocked by this mysterious woman's dramatic exit. As Zara reached her horse, one of her crystal slippers fell off. She had no time to retrieve it. The clock was still chiming. She mounted the horse and rode into the night, leaving behind one glass slipper and one thoroughly enchanted prince. By the time she reached home, the magic had completely faded. She was once again wearing her torn wrapper, her hair matted, her hands rough. The magnificent horse had vanished. The only proof that any of it had been real was a single crystal slipper on her other foot, which she quickly hid under her sleeping mat. Zara was back in her storage room when she heard the carriage return. She pretended to be asleep as Mama Halima and her daughters burst in, chattering excitedly about the mysterious beauty who'd captivated the prince. "Did you see her?" Safia gushed. "She was stunning." "The prince danced with her for hours," Amara added jealously. "He barely looked at anyone else." "But she ran away," Khadija said, like she was hiding something. "The prince has declared that he'll search the entire kingdom to find her. He has her glass slipper and says he'll marry whoever it fits." Zara's heart soared, even as she kept her eyes closed, pretending to sleep. The prince was searching for her. Her, the orphan girl, the servant, the invisible one. But could she dare to hope? For 3 weeks, Prince Jabari traveled throughout the kingdom with the crystal slipper, visiting every household. Every woman tried to force her foot into it. Some even cut their toes or heels trying to make it fit. But the slipper was magical. It would only fit its true owner. Mama Halima's household fell into chaos. All 3 daughters tried the slipper when the prince's caravan reached the area. Each one certain she would be chosen, but the slipper rejected them all. Too wide for Safia, too narrow for Amara, too short for Khadija. "Is there anyone else in this household?" the prince asked, disappointed. "No, Your Highness," Mama Halima said quickly. "Just my 3 daughters." But one of the palace guards, an old soldier who'd seen many injustices, noticed Zara lurking in the shadows. "What about that girl?" he asked. "Her? She's nobody, just an orphan servant. Surely Your Highness doesn't want to waste time on—" "Bring her forward," the prince commanded. Reluctantly, Mama Halima beckoned Zara. The girl approached, head down, wearing her rags, looking nothing like the vision from the festival. But when she raised her eyes and met the prince's gaze, he knew. Even through the dirt and poverty, he recognized the soul he'd connected with that magical night. "The slipper, please," Zara said quietly. "This is ridiculous," Safia protested. "She wasn't even at the festival. She was here, guarding the house." "Then the slipper won't fit, and you have nothing to worry about," the prince said calmly. Zara sat on the stool. The entire household held their breath. Even Mama Halima looked nervous, though she couldn't explain why. The crystal slipper slid onto Zara's foot as if it had been made for her, which, of course, it had. And the moment it touched her foot, the magic returned. Not Oya's magic this time, but something deeper. The magic of recognition, of destiny, of truth revealed. Zara stood, and though her clothes were still rags, everyone could suddenly see her clearly for the first time. Her dignity, her strength, her beauty that had nothing to do with clothes or jewelry. "It's you," Prince Jabari said, his voice filled with wonder. "You're the one." But she's an orphan," Mama Halima sputtered. "A servant. She has no family, no name, no—" "She asked herself," the prince interrupted, "and that's more than enough." He turned to Zara. "That night, you told me that character matters more than crowns. You were right. You have more nobility in your heart than most people born into royalty. Zara, daughter of Baraka and Amina, would you do me the honor of becoming my wife?" Zara's eyes filled with tears, but this time they were tears of joy. "Yes, yes, I will." The wedding was held 3 months later. It was the greatest celebration the kingdom had ever seen. And contrary to what some expected, Zara did not become a cruel princess, seeking revenge on those who'd hurt her. Instead, she used her new position to help others who were suffering as she had suffered. She opened schools for orphans. She created laws protecting servants from abuse. She established feeding programs for the poor. As for Mama Halima and her daughters, Zara summoned them to the palace. They came trembling, expecting punishment. Instead, Zara said, "I forgive you, not because what you did was right, but because carrying hatred would make me like you. However, your actions have consequences. You will work in the palace orphanage for 1 year, caring for children who have no families. Perhaps then, you'll learn what I learned, that every person deserves dignity, regardless of their circumstances." Years later, when people asked Princess Zara about her journey from rags to royalty, she would say, "The crown didn't make me a princess. I was always a princess. I just needed someone who could see it. And more importantly, I needed to see it in myself. Suffering tried to break me, but instead, it refined me. It taught me compassion, resilience, and the value of kindness. Those are the real jewels I wear, more precious than any crown." And so, the story of Zara spread throughout the kingdom and beyond. It became a tale that grandmothers told their granddaughters, that mothers whispered to their daughters, that the suffering whispered to themselves on dark nights when hope seemed lost. The lesson was clear. Your circumstances do not define your destiny. Cruelty does not have to harden your heart. And somewhere, someone is watching. Whether it's a goddess in disguise or simply the universe keeping accounts. And kindness is never wasted. Dear viewers, hear this ancient wisdom for your modern lives. In our world today, many of you are suffering, like Zara suffered. You're working hard, but getting nothing. You're being treated poorly by those who should protect you. You're watching others get opportunities while you're left behind. But remember, your character in the valley determines your capacity on the mountain. How you treat people when you have nothing reveals who you'll be when you have everything. Don't let bitterness steal your kindness. Don't let suffering steal your soul. And for those of you who have plenty, who have taken in others, who have employees, who have servants, who have power over vulnerable people, remember Mama Halima. Remember that every person you mistreat is someone's daughter or son. Every orphan is a potential princess. Every servant might be royalty in disguise. Treat people well, not because of what they can do for you, but because it's right. The universe is always watching. Destiny is always waiting. And one day, maybe not today, maybe not tomorrow, but one day, accounts will be settled. If this story moved your heart, share it with everyone who needs hope. Subscribe to this channel for more African wisdom that our ancestors left for us. And in the comments, tell us, have you ever been underestimated, only to prove everyone wrong? May you all find your glass slipper. May you all meet your Prince Jabari, whether that's a person, an opportunity, or simply the moment when the world finally sees your worth. And may you never forget, you are not defined by what others see. You are defined by who you choose to be in the darkness. This is your storyteller, signing off with the wisdom of our ancestors. A diamond doesn't know it's valuable until it's polished by pressure. Your suffering is not your end, it's your preparation for greatness. Until next time, stay strong, stay kind, and remember, every Cinderella has her midnight. Your time is coming.